O God in Heaven, The Wretched Diary of Mary Chesnut, Part 35, Subpart B, December 16th, 1861. Jefferson Davis paid us a personal visit last evening. His mood was reserved, as he told Mr. Chesnut that Chap Stick had thrown their support to the north. The South would have to make do with Carmex. Mr. Chesnut wailed his dissatisfaction. Kicking the Christmas tree to the floor, he threw my figgy pudding across the room. After a volley of profanity, he pleaded that Chap Stick tastes better and that Carmex is messy and smells of antiseptic. Mr. Davis looked at him with tears in his heavy eyes, placing a jar of the manual lip balm on the table. Mr. Davis saw himself out. Mary Chesnut. December 24th, 1861. Mr. Chesnut saved Christmas this evening. The whole of our congregation could not have been happier nor prouder. Our church's usual format for the Christmas Eve service is the passing of the offering plate, followed by hymns, a nativity play, the visit of St. Nicholas, and a second passing of the offering plate, in case the program were powerful enough to further engender our generosity. Of course, the most important part is the visit of St. Nicholas. That is what Christmas is all about, is it not? And this year, the starring role was played by Mr. Chesnut. Yet before we could get to that most hallowed Christmas event of Santa's visit, we would have to endure the nativity scene. Seated beside me in his normal evening attire, Mr. Chesnut leaned over to me during the children's nativity play. "Mary," he whispered. I tried to ignore him, as I was engrossed in the manger scene, and hoped we could just watch the play. "Mary! Mary!" His whisper became a hiss. I turned toward him. I could smell whiskey upon his breath. "I'm sick of this manger shit. I'm going to go change into my red suit and get the party started." I pleaded with him to remain seated and keep up the appearance of our interest. "Nah, fuck this shit, Mary." He was no longer whispering. "What are they doing all this barnyard shit for anyways? What's that got to do with Christmas? It's time for Santa Claus." Mr. Chesnut then got up and walked alongside the wall to the back of the pulpit. Shortly thereafter, a loud "Ho, ho, ho" boomed from behind the manger. The children, playing their roles so very well, stopped their acting and stood wide-eyed for the briefest of moments as they listened to the footfalls of heavy boots behind them in the darkness. The live donkey from Mr. Simpson's farm became quite alarmed. With a second "Ho, ho, ho" from the still unseen Mr. Chesnut, the children and many of the adults began screaming with delight and jumping up and down. "Ho, ho!" Mr. Chesnut tripped and crashed through the back of the manger, landing in a cloud of straw and splintered wood. Like a fallen tree, he nearly missed Mrs. Curtis's newborn, starring as baby Jesus. The donkey, in its terror, kicked 8-year-old Donnie Mathis squarely in the head. Little Donnie, who was playing an African wise man in blackface, had his makeup badly smeared. Actually, he was nearly decapitated. The child's corpse came to rest by the third row of pews as all rushed to the stage to receive candy from Santa Claus. It was a wonderful evening, and fills me with Christmas cheer. Mary Chesnut. December 25th, 1861. Oh, God in heaven! Today I learned Victoria's husband, Prince Albert, has died. Who can celebrate Christmas at a time as this? The doldrums have seized me. God help us all. God save the Queen. It began as a normal Christmas morning. A normal Christmas morning, just like every Christmas morning of my life. I descended the stairs for my present opening ceremony, held on the front portico every Christmas morn. All of our 847 slaves were gathered to watch me open gifts sent to me by family, dignitaries, and former acquaintances from across the South. My audience thus assembled, I walked through the double doors onto the portico in a richly woven green and red dress, very festive indeed, adorned with jewels and 100 yards of gold garland, fit for a Christmas tree encircling my dress as rings around Saturn. The sea of servants in their threadbare rags clapped slowly as they shivered in the cold air. I waved elegantly, wrapped warmly in a mink shawl. Beholding the throng, I glanced casually at the stack of presents for me to open. piled into a pyramid the size of a small cabin on the polished planks of the portico. Just then I looked down to see the rolled-up paper, delivered this morning. It read, Prince Albert, dead. Victoria upset. I knelt and flipped through the newspaper, its cheap ink staining my white-gloved fingers. "Mary!" Mr. Chesnut called to me. The tears came to mine eyes. "Where's your presents?" I said not a word, but rushed back to my room where I sobbed the rest of the day. Mary Chesnut. December 26th, 1861. Over brunch this day, I explained to Mr. Chesnut that it was the death of our Prince Albert and my concern for our Queen that had upset me so yesterday. I told him of the Southern aristocracy, how it is truly as one with the royalty of Europe. They inherit their estates, positions, and power over others, as do we. The single greatest thing they do in their lives is cry when born. All is immediately bestowed upon them, and they never make an effort at anything again. They can be monsters and as stupid as a common stink bug, and yet they will always be held in higher esteem than the most brilliant genius or virtuoso, no matter their accomplishment. They marry their cousins, as do we, for they must keep everything within their families. And we both share a disdain and loathing for those born lesser than ourselves, the same ones upon whom we get our entire support. Be they called subjects or slaves, we all live as parasites upon them. For once, Mr. Chesnut agreed with me completely. His countenance had a thoughtful smile as he gazed intellectually out the window. "Wow, Mary, you ain't never made more sense than that." I blushed at the compliment. "I mean, shit, that's just it. You said the whole tale of the condition of the world just like that." With that, he took a large bite of his biscuit and chomped audibly. "Still, that Albert looks like a dick with ears." I was excited to learn this news. As I already knew what Albert looked like, I can now put the two and two together and approximate the correct visual of a man's fifth appendage, the device of the penile, of which I shall from now on refer to as the Albert. Mary Chesnut. December 27th, 1861. It is truly difficult to believe it. It has been nearly 4 months since our dearest Reverend Edwards ended his own life. It is still so very difficult to come to terms. His manner of death, his being unable to ask forgiveness, and his undoubtedly being condemned straight to hell. Oh well. It seems this Christmas season, though, as God once sent us a son, so does he now a preacher. For we learned this day a new preacher, who can serve on a permanent basis, has finally been found. In this interim, each of the men have been taking turns as acting preacher, and although we are hopeful for a new minister and eager to get back in touch with God, many have expressed sorrow that Mr. Chesnut will no longer be among those in rotation for leading Sunday services. For his sermon was nothing more than the simple and customary blessing of "God is great, God is good, let us thank him for our food," followed by the congregation spending the rest of the morning drinking, eating, and playing cornhole in the cemetery. The new minister is a Reverend Martin, highly recommended by the War Department for his missionary work in converting heathen Yankees to Confederates. Mary Chesnut. January 7th, 1862. Mr. Chesnut presented his idea for a form of attire he terms overalls to the Army Command this day. He touted their ability to save on the cost of shirts and pants separately by combining them into a single garment. For their part, the committee's concerns numbered two. The first, how will soldiers go number one? The second, how will soldiers go number two? Both points remained unanswered by a frustrated Mr. Chesnut. Mary Chesnut. January 8th, 1862. At a state dinner this evening, I was seated across from Lucy Pickens. When I was certain no one was looking, I poured an entire vial of castor oil into her eggnog. Within the hour, an expanding brown stain spread itself across the posterior of her dress. She left quickly afterward. and I had a lovely evening. Mary Chesnut. January 9th, 1862. The Army declined Mr. Chesnut's overalls proposal. This despite Mr. Chesnut having solved the number 1 problem of how to go number 1. It was number 2 that proved difficult, as the best workaround Mr. Chesnut could come up with was what he termed an ass flap, cut and sewn across the seat. The projected expense of this necessary ass flap was proven too much to proceed. Thus we left soon after their decision. Mr. Chesnut was not mad, though. Quite the contrary. He received a raise for his effort, and told me he cared not if they adopted any of his ideas, so long as he got paid. Mary Chesnut.